it's been important for me to make sure that my kids are understanding what historic Filipino town means, and what the neighborhood was and is going to be, and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support a lot of people who have lived in our neighborhood on our street for a very long time, and who are Filipino. And it's been a great joy to learn about this amazing culture and what a big deal, like in LA, to have this neighborhood created, this enclave named.
Hello and welcome to Here in LA, Historic Filipino Town Edition. Today we talk with Alissa Walker, a journalist, a mom, a great person to follow on Twitter, and a lover of all things public transportation. In fact, she took a bus to the Here in LA studios on a sweltering day. Alissa knows more about the city, LA County, the subway, bike lanes, and politics than most politicians. So we are blessed by her presence and know you will love this discussion. So swipe your tap card and welcome Alissa Walker. Okay, everybody, I am here with Alissa Walker. Yay! Alissa, your neighborhood is Little Filipino Town.
Historic Filipino town. There's nothing little about it. There's nothing really historic about it either, but...
How long have you lived in historic Filipino town?
I have lived there for almost 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What drew you to it 7 years ago?
So I have always lived in CD13, and I've always lived within a mile of the 101. I can't deviate from that path in any way. The whole time I've lived in LA for 20 years. So
you're such a politico. CD13.
CD13.
There's like 8 people who know what that means.
I've lived in the same council district, but it's a weirdly shaped one. But it does go along the 101 for at least, I think it still does after redistricting. So what I say is, like, I lived 2 places in Hollywood, and then I lived in Silver Lake, and then Historic Filipino Town is right across, on the other side of the freeway. So I basically just jump from one side to the other on the 101 and kind of create this path.
I think I'm on the most west part of CD13.
Yeah, you are. You're on the brink.
Which is why I don't feel guilty having a Nithya poster on my wall.
Yes.
Because she's not my lady. I would have voted for her, but
lady.
I can still have her. I think she's sweet. Let's talk about that 101 real quick since you brought it up.
Yeah.
I want to see that park on top of the 101. Is that just a dream idea?
Well, there's 2 ideas. There's 2 concepts. There's one that's for Hollywood, and there's one for downtown. The downtown one makes a lot of sense when you see like what other cities have done, like Boston and stuff, because it really does go deep in the trench. The area I'm talking about is like right where Union Station is, to City Hall, to like the Chinatown gate, kind of all the way, you could keep going. But it's just would be so easy to cap that freeway and just make people go in a small tunnel for like just a mile.
So make a tunnel underneath that area, which is all...
It's already a tunnel.
And it's kind of gross. It's dark, the shadows from the buildings.
Which freeways are not gross?
Wow. I see life through rose-colored glasses.
Oh, okay.
But the only saving grace to that portion of the freeway is the murals used to be awesome.
Yeah.
Until they made weird cloth ones and tried to fix those.
That's true. They would need to somehow bring those out. That would need to be solved.
So you're saying build a tunnel and then make the freeway part that we know now a grassy, parky park.
It's just, it's already underground. It'd be easy to cap it. They're trying to make the bridges, overpasses, like nicer and try to connect the neighborhoods, but like... there's just so much space that you could, and the noise, can you imagine? Like just that whole area. And they're building, all those new developments, those new housing developments are so close to the freeway anyway.
All those residents would love it. They could have dogs. They could walk their dogs over there.
And there's not a lot of park space. There's Grand Park, but there's not really enough based on the density of housing that's there. So that's an easy one. The Hollywood one, I don't know what happened with that plan. That was very...
Well, it seems crazy.
Well, it's not. Again, it's not that... It does have the same trenches. It does go pretty deep in some areas. But what I would like to see more is like in the parts, like in my neighborhood, in Historic Filipino Town, the 101 almost runs at grade through, parts of these. And you can see when they have these high-speed car crashes, like the cars like fly off the highway into like the neighborhoods. Like just turn that into like a boulevard again, right? Like it doesn't need to be this freeway. It just seems like a very easy, and then add housing. You know, the place where like the 2 was supposed to come down and connect to the 101. Like hopefully your listeners know about the plan. It was like a long time ago, it was going to connect and then they stopped it. So there's all this land that like was bought up through these areas. That's why that part of the 101 is so wide. Like there's that large median kind of grassy. I just took a picture of it actually on the bus on the way over here because it looks like a park. They make it like very nice. But like all that, it doesn't need to be, especially when you have the red line as like this redundant transportation right below it, right?
Can we talk about the red line real quick?
Can we? Well, it's the B line.
Forget that. Why? What's the obsession?
It's the only letter I know. It's the only letter I know.
What's the obsession with New York City?
I know.
Can't we just be ourselves?
I'm really upset that they did letters.
But we don't have to acknowledge it.
No, it's true. We shouldn't.
Who's behind? Do you know who's behind these letters? Is it Garcetti?
Metro? Oh, no, I don't know.
Metro.
Like who picked the letters or who decided? I think there is something
There were already names. Like what if I just named your children B and A?
I think,
they already have names.
I think there's something to do with like,
like,
letters are better for people to understand maybe across different languages or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe?
I'm okay with that.
But that doesn't really make any sense either. I don't know.
Have you been to France?
I have.
Have you ridden the subways in Paris?
Yes.
It's all in French.
It's
we figured it out.
Yeah, but what are the lines named? Are they?
It's
they all have fancy names.
The Gare de West and the Gare de l'Ouest. I don't know. You figure it out.
I know, it's weird. I don't like it.
I would think red and purple and blue are easier if I am new to the language.
I don't know the answer.
All right, fine. But let's talk about it anyways. Yes. So here I am over by Kaiser, and as you know, my handle on Twitter and everything is Busblog, because when I moved into this place, I was very, very poor. I shouldn't have even been allowed in here. I had no money, I had bad credit, and I didn't even have a car. And I looked around, and there's a damn subway right there. And nobody was writing about this. And this is the dawn of the blogosphere, where everybody was writing about the war to come and the war that ended up being. And I was
You're talking about like 20 years ago.
Yeah, like 9/11.
Yeah.
Like right before 9/11, I started the Bus Blog.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I don't know much about politics and war, but I know about this dumb subway that nobody ever talks about. They still don't really talk about it. Kenny and you are really the only ones that ever talk about it, right?
There's more now.
Look, Will Street's blog, right? But still, of a area of 10 million people, we could have them all in this living room and party. Maybe we will one day. But still, I was like, okay, that'll be my beat. And I'm not a great reporter, so I made it about this girl I had a crush on, who also rode the subway, who I was too afraid to talk with. And I loved riding the Red Line to Wilshire and then taking the subway or taking the bus to basically La Brea Tar Pits, where I worked at E, because I could read, I could people watch, and I didn't have to deal with this traffic that everybody bitches about. And it wasn't that slower than taking a car, because that subway can zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Once you catch it right, it can zoom.
If you catch it, yeah.
So am I just lucky that I live close to the Red Line? Are most people in L.A. not taking advantage of whatever it is that's near them? Or are we in Hollywood just super lucky to be close to this?
That's how when I first lived here, I lived in Hollywood when I first moved here. And same, like my roommates were like, what? Like there's a subway? It was very funny. And I was like, didn't you grow up here?
Right.
I felt the same way, that it was kind of like this very special treat to live in Hollywood. I didn't live too far from where we are when I first moved here. For that very reason, I felt like it was like it was a different way of accessing the city that it hadn't been immediately obvious to me before. But of course, many people did it for a long time, but that's how it felt to me. And I could never consider moving farther away from it now. But it's funny, what's happened now is that in these 20 years that it's like a luxury amenity now, right? And
for sure.
And the fact that the buses of bus blog fame have gotten completely ignored over this same 20 years is just like, it's a tragedy. So we could have had these incredible bus rapid transit, dedicated bus lanes on like Vermont, the street that I just traveled on. And, what do we have? Like 3 or 4 bus lanes now that have all been put in within the last like few years. We could have really made an intervention that would have created that subway like feeling,
That's right.
That wormhole. I always call it that. It's just like you kind of duck down and then you come up somewhere and it's really fast. And I rode that Wilshire bus yesterday with the really good, it moves fast during rush hour because they do a good job of keeping it clear. And I felt the same way. I was like, yeah, this is a great commute. This is a great commute from like Koreatown to Beverly Hills. Like, it's not bad.
No.
But yeah, the bus, the ignorance and of the bus and the apathy of funding the bus. I don't know. It's just like our leaders are like, they're so,
But
they lost sight. They lost sight.
Van Nuys wants to have a metro station that goes through Bel Air. And when I heard this, and to UCLA and ultimately to the Expo line, what letter is the Expo line?
I think they gave that E, right?
Okay.
Teal.
We can live with
Okay, but
that.
then we never called it the color. We always called it Expo line. So that's why they maybe had to change all the naming because they were like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's all these colors, and they made two that kind of look the
teal.
same.
Teal would have been good.
Yeah. So, okay, Expo line, fucking awesome.
Good. Another success.
One of the best new things.
Except for not adding enough housing around the rich areas, but we can talk about that later.
You can, and I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll give time for it.
It's coming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I just talked to a woman in Atwater Village who is going to have an ADP in her backyard. So her duplex will turn into a triplex. She's going to get rich off of this. And I think once people realize, if I can make the residents of LA kind of pay for their own houses, they will truly love me.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 1,000 of them than one dark money, deep pockets guy love me, right? And what's the problem of having a duplex instead of just a house?
Ask the people in Cheviot Hills. They seem troubled by it. They're going to stop it. It depends whoever wins council race.
Because they feel like whoever is the tenant of that is undesirable?
I think that, and also they are very worried about like the form of their neighborhood changing in any way, even though they'll tear down their houses and put up really ugly houses on the same site. But
is that a form of NIMBYism where you just want everything to stay the same?
I think that's like the key tenet, right? I think it's to change. How I always describe it as like the neighbors just stay exactly the same except for the change I specifically want to make to my house.
Right. And meanwhile, here we are in the history of LA. It's nothing but change.
It's happening.
Like it's nonstop. How long have you lived here?
20 years also. 21. Yeah.
Where'd you move here from?
I grew up in St. Louis.
Oh.
And I went to school in Colorado and then also lived in Atlanta.
How about that?
Yeah.
Did Atlanta have good public transpo?
It's better now than it was. I mean, I definitely rode it. But where I lived, I didn't really need to go very many places. So,
because I will say the reason that I loved buses and trains is from 94 to 99, I lived in San Francisco. First in the Mission and then on Haight Street and then back to the Mission. And it was great to get drunk and go on a bus. It was great to get stoned and just take the F Market, this classic old,
it's the best,
beautiful thing. And even though I was kind of familiar with it, we would just get stoned and ride to the end of the line and see what was there. And what a great way to discover that city, which is maybe more manageable than taking the Blue Line and seeing where in Long Beach it drops you off. But why not?
Also, there might be construction, so you might not get back.
But I think that that's such a great way to explore a city. And when you don't have to drive and you could just look out the window and talk to people or overhear what people are saying, it was awesome. So when I moved to LA and moved back to LA and I was here, I was like, well, how hard could this be? But I said that when I flew into LAX one day. I returned from Europe where I took, obviously, the trains everywhere there. And I was living in Inglewood at the time. And I said, how hard could it be to get from LAX to Inglewood? And this was the mid-'80s.
And then
it was impossible.
10 days later.
Right.
Yeah, but I was just seeing this post today about how bus ridership, when there was no trains in LA, was in the millions, right? Like between 1 and 2 million. Mm-hmm. And it's lower now, even with trains, pre-COVID, you're talking like 2019.
Yeah.
Our buses were faster in the 80s. So there were more people riding more buses, getting where they needed to go.
What do you think happened?
People bought a lot of cars. A lot of people moved here who
they
were
couldn't
wealthier.
Afford cars? Oh,
and they bought cars, and then that necessitated other people having to move further away and also buy cars. Because there was like a UCLA study that was like, we added cars at a faster pace, where we weren't building enough housing. And then, we just like decided it would be cool if everything was, about driving. And talk about those elected officials. They were not representing the people.
Okay, so let's go back to this Bel Air subway tunnel. Because you give me hope that it could happen.
It's definitely going to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You bet money.
Stop it. They can't stop it.
They can't?
No.
Aren't they the most rich and powerful people in the whole...
Fred Rosen?
The
Ticketmaster
the good people. Is he behind it?
He's from Ticketmaster. Yeah. I don't think he works. I don't know if he works there anymore, but he was like a C-suite person at Ticketmaster. That's the person who writes all these like unhinged letters to Metro.
I need to bite my tongue. Because I'm a very poor person, and Ticketmaster is really Live Nation.
Yeah.
And Live Nation may want to use me as a freelancer. But
it's nothing to do with them specifically, but
but Ticketmaster is Live Master.
It's funny that it's someone that
Wow. Okay. So here's my belief, and thank you for educating me on this. Thank you so much for being here. You're such a well-read, well-educated, in-tune person.
That's not true, but
who's more than you? Go ahead, name names.
I just read.
She can't do it. She's so uneducated. She doesn't know who's smarter than her.
I just read Twitter.
Does it depress you to read Twitter?
No.
Good for you.
It's very entertaining.
I think so too. Well, I mean, during Trump, it depressed me.
Yeah. I mean, there was worse.
Because I was like, there was
worse things happening for sure. But things are still pretty bad. And worse in some ways because it's Democrats doing it.
Right. It's worse. You're like, we voted for you to do this.
Yeah. And you're not.
Why aren't you doing
you're
it?
Not doing it. Yeah.
Okay. So I was under the assumption that other than Mr. Ticketmaster Man, that everybody in Bel Air.
What is that? Like 6 people?
Is that the thing?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many people live there. But
those lots are so big, and those guys
so big. It's just like,
and they don't even really live there.
One of it's just the one mansion, so that's it.
And sultans that live in a 1,000 places.
They don't even live there full time, right?
Is that how I should look at it?
Well, I think it's a very small. Again, as these things always are. Talk about NIMBYs, right? And this wouldn't even change. The tunnel is going to be so deep, and there's no station in Beverly Hills. I mean, there's no station in Bel Air.
Shouldn't there be?
I mean, no, we don't want to even give them the pleasure of having one. But like, they're not even fighting against that. They're literally fighting against a tunnel being dug so deep below their property, it will not affect them in any way.
Okay. When the extension of the Purple Line,
yeah,
whatever letter that is.
Well, that's why I accidentally said Beverly Hills, because Beverly Hills fought that for decades.
They did.
They lost every battle.
Nice.
And It's being built. I was stood right in front of it the other day, and it's like about to be finished. So,
but if I was a rich person in Bel Air, I'd say, "What do you mean I'm not going to notice it? You couldn't even make an extension down the purple line without every street being screwed up. How is this going to be different?"
they live on a mountain, like they live on a mountain range, and so the tunneling will be so far below them. It's
no big whoop.
It's not going to, and their whole worry is that a ventilation shaft would be installed on their property. But like, do they not know that like there are tunnels and shafts already under their property? Like
maybe they don't know.
Like as I said the other day on Twitter, where do they think their poop goes? Like, what do they just think it like magically disappears? Like there are people below them doing stuff in the infrastructure constantly, and they're making all these arguments about like, you know, the one thing they said that was just so bonkers to me was like, first of all, they don't understand how the transit even works, because they were like, they are trying to like make these weird like thought that like UCLA shouldn't matter more than their decisions, and like they don't think it should be prioritized, their opinions should be prioritized. But like, okay, like how many more people use transit in Westwood anyway?
Yeah.
But they had an argument. They thought the Stone Canyon Reservoir might get like, you know, drained accidentally by tunneling, and they would lose their water, and they said that it should be preserved because they live in a high fire risk zone. Okay, well, you maybe shouldn't live there at all, but...
Well, I mean, who doesn't remember the Great Bel Air Fire?
Well, of course, but I'm not sure anything to do with tunneling. And also, it's funny because Elon Musk, Bel Air resident until recent... Well, he left. He sold all of his houses and he moved to Texas, but he lived there and, like, wanted to dig these private tunnels for cars, and they thought that was like cool.
They did?
Yes, he had like a fundraiser in Bel Air with like, it was attended by...
I guess I just ignore all that stuff.
I mean, they probably would have fought it eventually too, but like when it was Elon doing it, they were like, what a great idea.
Was he going to go as low as Metro is?
I don't know how it would have worked. I mean, he has no structural, technical information that has ever really held up any of their claims, and they don't put any shafts in their tunnels at all. So I don't know if he could do much more than what he's already done.
So the idea is to go from Van Nuys underneath the 101 through that mountain underneath Bel Air, pop up somewhere around Westwood, and then continue to the Expo line.
Yes.
And connect there.
Yes. And connect to where the purple line is going to come to Westwood, too. So you're connecting two train lines. Yeah. Okay.
So you think this is going to happen? You don't think that they have enough people or enough money to stop this?
I just don't. I think after the precedent set by all the fights with Beverly Hills and how they had unlimited amounts of money for that, too, and how all the legal challenges were struck down. I don't think there's any way that it will be. And you know, the real question here is like the people who live in Bel Air are pushing for the monorail option, which is horrible, it's just the only reason I think we're really even considering that is because it's BYD who makes a lot of electric buses. I just visited their factory up in Lancaster, and we have like a big deal with them, and a lot of elected officials have made deals with them. And I think that's the only reason that idea is even being kept alive, but it is a very bad one, and we should not be building any monorails along the 405 freeway. So,
of course not.
Yes. Subway
ridiculous.
Is very obvious, and we should, of course, prioritize the needs of UCLA students in every way because they need better transit.
Where should there be a monorail in LA? Oh, Dodger Stadium to Union City. Do you like that gondola idea?
Oh, the gondola. That's very interesting. The that's being fought right now by the people who live in Chinatown. I think it's like not a great solution for what they're proposing it for, which is they are really trying to say that it could help fix traffic to Dodger Stadium on game day. We're recording this on opening day, by the way.
Happy opening day.
Happy opening day.
Are you a Dodger fan?
I'm a Cardinals fan.
Are you?
At heart. But
I did not mean to wear this.
No, I know.
Cubs hat.
It's been very offensive the whole time I've been staring at you.
So sorry.
But I root for the Dodgers when they're winning.
Okay. Which is always.
Which is always
Fuckers.
lately.
Deep pockets.
Yeah, there's a lot of Cubs insignia in this room.
Well, here's a man named Ramirez.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you'll see no Cardinal stuff
I
here.
think the gondola is a very bad idea for what they're claiming, the problem they're claiming it will solve. They're trying to do this math to say that like it's going to take, cars off the road and people can ride this gondola. You can't actually put a lot of people in a gondola for like a peak, trips situation.
Yeah.
Just fix like the walking and biking infrastructure. Put those like escalators all over the hill to get up there and like make it really pleasant to get up to the stadium. Because it's not a far walk from like the Gold Line station in Chinatown or even Sunset. I just walk from the Sunset bus. But
only a Cub fan would recommend this. Move the fucking stadium.
Yeah, well, or just put more housing around the stadium, and then a lot more people who really loved baseball could just live right there. Develop all the parking lots. Just put like tons of housing up there and give people who were displaced when it was built first rights
priority
back. Yeah, to come back and move in. Everybody's
fighting for free metro.
Yeah.
How about we start with this? 1 free ride a week. If you have a library card.
Oh, I like one card that gets you everything. And the library card, what did they just say that you get now?
Parks.
Yeah, state park access.
Yeah.
I mean, and you also can use it to go to the pools.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with it.
And so you can make it a digital card, even though the Shepherd Ferry one is awesome. And and I think tap cards should be...
Right. Your tap card should be able to
really
do
cool.
much more. I mean, here's the way I think about this is, my daughter, who is 7, they just did free transit for LAUSD students. So she has her own tap card now. It's very proud of it. It's like her biggest thing to be able to go and scan it. And so and my kids will, my other child is 4 and like they'll never have to pay for transit. It's kind of like the goal,
great.
right? I mean, that's how, for sure for kids should be free. All
Yes.
kids, not just LAUSD students.
That's right.
But it's interesting to think about like what that card could represent for her, right? Because now she thinks, she also has like a LACMA membership. She has like her cards now, right? She's got, and she has her library card. She's got
So does she have a little purse, a little wallet?
Yeah, she's got her little wallet. She's got, actually, I keep them safe. There's something else, another card. Anyway, but she's got her cards now. And it is just like, it's so amazing, like that there could be one card where you could access the city.
Yeah.
And it's just like this thing that you just get, like, and it's not a driver's license, it's your tap card, right?
Yes.
So that's what I was thinking. And she doesn't want to get her license. She talks about this now sometimes. She must pick up on things I say, so she's like, so she's all pro transit and stuff. But it's a very interesting thing to see, like, how she views that, her access to the city and what that could represent. So I've been thinking about that a lot, for sure.
I just think if everybody had 1 free ride a week, they would see that it's not as slow as they think. It's not as dirty as they think. It's not as scary as they think. I think you just have to, just like what got me into cocaine, you got to get the first line for free. Try it at a party. Get on the bus. Take it to wherever you want to go. Go to Grand Central on a Saturday.
That's an ideal location. Yes.
Like, just roam around a place that you haven't gone before and just expand, especially post-COVID, where we've been cooped up in these places and we want to go
everybody
outside.
got to ride free for 2 years. And
But
when I wrote that story, it was like...
I cut down on my bus riding.
Oh, did you? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, safety, of course, but like, I think like, I didn't ride for very much my kids didn't go on it for almost a whole year. But it was when I wrote that story, kind of like asking Metro, like, did you study this period? Like, it was the biggest free transit experiment maybe in U.S. history.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else that even comes close because we're such a giant bus system. And, I guess they are looking at it and they do see like the climate benefits, but the stories, and not just from people, people who had choices and who didn't have a choice of riding it during this time, everybody said they used it more, or just use it for like short trips, or like realize they could like be a little bit more, just spontaneous about something. And
That's right.
That's how we should be thinking about all of our public services. It should be just easy to access, free, no means testing, and just like opening up possibilities.
I did talk to a lot of bus drivers. After I got vaxxed, I talked to a lot of bus drivers because God bless them. They're the true heroes.
And they should be paid so much more. God. It's really devastating.
I've been unemployed for a little while. And so when micro happened, I was like, ooh, I get to be an Uber driver, but work for the bus line. Minimum wage. Right.
Metro, what are you doing?
It's like, well, who do you think?
They're the front lines of this city. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's totally ridiculous.
It's very bad.
So I was like, forget that. Okay. The other thing I want to change about the subways. Put the estimated time for the train.
Don't get me started.
At the sidewalk level.
Don't get me started.
Why do I have to go through all of this to see, it's going to be 15 minutes before the train comes?
Don't get me started.
I am getting you started. Because, the signs would pay for themselves because you put ads on them. But next to the ad is North Hollywood, 8 minutes.
Well, also the screens, when you're even walking in, they rotate from ads to the numbers. So sometimes you still have to wait.
You're
getting down the stairs. You're like, yeah. I mean, we have phones. They do sometimes have the accurate information on the transit app.
Sometimes.
That's good.
Do you have an app that you recommend?
Just transit app. It's the most accurate, I think, now. Okay. But it's it'd be interesting to know. Like, I have to say, putting the information above ground, yes, but like accuracy anywhere which
shouldn't be hard. The train is 2 stations away.
Yeah.
You're telling me you don't know that it's 2 stations away, Metro?
Well, there's a whole bunch of complicated things.
Is there a bear in the tracks? What's stopping
it? There's a tech change that needed to happen that I think has finally happened now, where they'll be able to represent everything fairly. But then as soon as they do that, then they reduce service, so the schedules change, and so they have to resync it. Anyway, but there's a really cool, if you go to Pershing Square, and it was interesting because there was a whole debate with some people on Twitter on if these were even real because they look so nice. We were like, it's like an e-ink screen with a little seat on it at the bus stop, and it shows like updated, real-time information for everything that's coming. So that's an easy thing to install, and then you just kind of glance at that before you go down into the subway. But that it's
because if it is going to be 20 minutes, I'll just take the bus.
Yeah.
But tell me.
Yeah.
I know it's Metro hard. Knows where the train is.
It would also be like good advertising for like
that too.
Your amazing subway system.
Too.
Yeah.
So that if you are also, if it's going to be 15 minutes, I can finish my water.
That's right.
I can smoke a little weed.
Well,
I can do whatever I'm going to do.
About the transit
or get your ass down here, Tony. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's easy. Okay. So are you in favor of the 1 day a week free bus ride, Metro ride?
I would just say I think the buses should be free for sure. I think transit should be free, all of it. I don't think it would be that hard for us to.
You're so punk rock. I'm trying to get baby steps to there. I think it will be. But I think you need the right people to embrace it. And I don't think you're going to get the right people.
Influencers to ride it.
Or rich people, just regular people that aren't just weirdos like us.
I think what is very dangerous right now is people like our sheriff, who makes these videos trying to make it seem like people sitting on benches or laying down is somehow dangerous. And I won't say that there's more people who are using the train for shelter. During this time, that's absolutely true. I won't argue that that's not true.
Right.
But again, why is our money going to pay the sheriff to walk around and make videos that's clearly not helping anybody or making anybody feel safe and making a lot of people feel less safe, when it's clear that we could do so much more to help the people who are down there for a reason. It's air conditioned. It's sometimes it's, we're just riding the bus today. I was like, hell yeah, I'm riding this bus around town because it feels great. Like, it's so hot outside.
Worst sheriff ever. But, because I try to look for the silver linings.
Oh, wow. Can't wait for this one.
I kind of feel like he did clean up Venice and some of these other places indirectly.
Whoa, no.
Because the people who might have been dragging their feet were like, we can't let him have credit for this.
I don't know. The people who... I was there for a bunch of those days, and I don't think... Oh, you mean like the elected officials didn't want him to have credit?
Nobody wanted... He's an unlikable man.
Yeah. The people there didn't seem to be particularly like care. You know, they were...
So it's a coincidence that once he started strolling down that boardwalk?
I actually think that it was in motion a long time before he starts doing... And, you know, he's going to do the same thing in Hollywood now. He's announced. He's like, I'm coming for you or whatever.
Yeah.
On his campaign account, not even his official account.
It's nuts. What do you say? Be aware.
Something like be ready or something. Yeah. Like,
it was an anonymous.
It was.
Remember Anonymous? Those guys.
Yeah.
It was one of their lines. Expect us.
Expect us. That's very terrifying. But yeah, I think he does that. He shows up when there's something already like in motion.
That's what it is.
He tries to take credit for it because the stuff happening in Venice was. They were working on that I mean, I walked with caseworkers like up and down the boardwalk many, many times, and they knew everybody who was there, and the sheriff's deputies did not know there's people who have lived there for many years, and the deputies had just shown up to be like trying to wave some shit around.
Interesting.
Like, so that's, I think, what's happening. And I don't know what's actually going to happen in Hollywood if there's something like planned or if he's just going to do the same kind of thing, but like Hollywood has like pretty strict rules about where you can be already, so I don't know how you can make it even more like
tons
militarized.
Of cops. Yeah, like, I mean, William G has shown us Hollywood cops better than anybody.
That's right.
I mean, shout out LA Times, but William has that beat covered.
Film and police. Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it was.
I mean, that's what I think. He doesn't have any real understanding of the community in Venice. It's not even technically something that they work on.
So is the sheriff department covers a lot of territory. Is he saying all of my territory is perfect and that's why I have extra time to help out the LAPD and their territories?
I think he's running for re-election.
But he's going to lose by a lot, right?
I mean,
by a lot.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't think he has a chance because I voted for him because he
said the right thing.
He said all the right things. He said he was a liberal Democrat.
Yeah.
Like all these lies that Caruso's saying.
Yeah.
And we fell for it.
Yeah.
And he had the right name. Yeah. And I was uneducated and stoned.
Well, I mean, even the educated people, I think,
we all voted
even the
for
people
him.
who like really looked into this still thought he was the reformer.
Fell for it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to win.
I hope he doesn't.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Because he's got to testify under oath about the gangs.
I mean, that's bad timing for him.
Yeah. Okay. Who should police the metro lines, if not the sheriffs?
No one.
You don't want anybody protecting your 7-year-old on the buses?
I mean, they have done nothing to help me when things have gone wrong before. So they literally just sit there. They don't do anything or stand there or whatever. And they don't wear their masks.
That's true.
Metro is testing. You know, there's an amazing committee, public safety committee that has been advising Metro on how to move from, you know, that model to a model that's more like spend money on things like bathrooms and social workers. And they're testing out right now like a transit ambassador position that you would, because like even when you go down there, I think you talk about like other countries and stuff, right? Like Paris, and there's people who like work there who are in like, you know, a metro. Yes. And they like talk to you. And, you know, not to say that the metro workers aren't like great, but there should be like a kiosk and like information and people to help you at every single station. Like that, it's just ridiculous.
There's not that many stations.
And could be above ground and below ground. Like you're saying, like you could just walk up to somebody and be like, is the train coming? Like, show me, you know.
Hustle.
Yeah, like go.
Get it,
like,
Tony.
They're like up there like waving you through. But like, just the fact we don't even have that basic level of like care in our stations is like that's an easy one, right? And that's like, there could be like this is like a dream of mine, like things for kids to play on while trains are coming and buses. Like that's a very basic thing that you could look at across the city and just be like, wow, my kid is like standing like 2 feet from like cars going 50 miles an hour on Vermont, and like create a little space with like shade and patio misters and, a little place to play. They climb on like whatever shit is in the stations, but like you just really think about like who's taking transit and like who might have to wait for a while. And it's great to see like more like this idea that we might be able to have like vendors actually able to vend at stations. They're talking about like more kiosks where you could buy things and like, that's a possibility. That's a great use of our space, and that those create like, interactions with people that help keep you feeling safe. Just more people being around, so it's like, that's where the money should go. And
take a cut from those people to pay for all this stuff we're talking about.
Yeah,
because I imagine that's what the city is saying. Great ideas.
Of course.
How do we pay for it? Because nobody's taking the trains or buses. They'll say.
Yeah.
And the fares are low compared to other cities.
Of course, yeah.
And we don't want to raise the fares.
No.
So tax them.
Well, there's that one, when you go like to the, like the Metro Center entrance and you can walk out into the block or whatever it's called. It it's like the only instance where you feel like you're in like New York or something where there's like, retail integrated into the station. And there's like a Dunkin' Donuts, I think, like tucked in there. But like that kind of model, like you're saying, like, like throw a Starbucks in like more stations and just like take their money, this is like a great way for them to make money. I don't know what we're so afraid of. Metro owns so many properties, and yes, some of them are being turned into housing, whatever, but just put things closer to the trains.
And I hate to say it, sell some weed.
Just all for it. Yes, of course.
I mean, really though, it's like LA has not lived up to their promise about minorities being able to own dispensaries.
Kind of devastating, the news.
Easiest way to fix that is every subway station have a person of color weed dispensary. And take a good chunk out of that.
Yeah.
Say for the first 5 years, lower rent because we built it, but we get 20% off the top. That will pay for that ambassador.
Yeah.
Which is also just a body there. I think will cut down on crime and cut down on dudes sleeping down there because he'll just radio whoever needs it. Right?
I mean, that's how it works. Like the thing that I think people are the most afraid of is because when your train doesn't come for 20 minutes or your bus doesn't come for sometimes like 40 minutes, like that is what starts to make you feel anxious, especially if it's at night or if you're by yourself or something like that. So like the frequency needs to improve, but also like the number of people around you, it just makes people feel better,
And make it fun. When you were talking about that courtyard, I'm thinking about the Vermont and Wilshire area.
My kids love that one. Yeah. It's so fun. Yeah.
And it's got a little metro station there. So when I wanted to buy my Obama tap card, which by the way, I think they should do that more often, once a month.
More commemorative cards.
A different tap card. Because I bought like 5 of them and gave them to people outside of LA.
That's interesting.
And they made you put $5 on there.
Yeah.
And so it's just free money. It's like stamps.
Yeah.
A few more questions for you, Ms. Walker.
Okay.
God bless you, by the way, for doing this with us. For some reason, it's not doing this. When you went to Venice, what route did you take from historic Filipino town, or did you take the car? It's okay to take the car.
I did it the other day too, and it wasn't that bad. I took the Vermont bus, the 754, to whatever, the 730. Well, the 733 doesn't exist anymore. Back when it did. Now it's just the 33. But then the other day I took...
So wait, you took it to the Green Line?
No, just to the 33, like the Venice bus.
Okay.
Right, that's the easiest way to get there. But the other day I went to Playa,
Wow.
Yeah, Playa Vista.
You are adventurous.
On the bus, but it was like taking the 754, and then there's all these buses that go, like Playa has its own like shuttles and stuff like. I mean, it was a whole new world for me.
Because they have older people, maybe.
Well, I just think it's like part of the deal they made with the city to develop it. They have to have these like, and maybe because it's like tech workers or something too. But it's like they have their own like shuttle system, which is really interesting. So that's an adventure if you just want to go ride buses around for fun. But
that's a neighborhood.
It is a neighborhood. You should go talk to people who live there.
I'd love to. Well, they probably have. They probably have like really like a lot of taxes they're collecting that they don't have anything to spend it on.
They must make so much. I mean, I don't know who. Somebody is making a lot of money. Yeah definitely.
Okay, so when you did Filipino Town to Venice, how long did that take you with 2 buses?
Oh, probably like over an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
It's not bad. That's not bad at all.
It's not bad, but it's far.
Because when I was applying for Amazon in Santa Monica, and I was checking how long to drive and how long not to drive.
Yeah.
It was like a 10-minute difference.
Well, the 733 I feel like was faster, and now there's only the 33 or whatever. It doesn't feel as fast. They need a bus lane on Venice, like a red painted one.
We'll end with this. Where's a great place to eat in historic Filipino town?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many fun things to do. First of all, the biggest shout out I have to give is to my neighbor's restaurant, which is Hi-Fi Kitchen, which is on
I've heard
Beverly.
of this.
Oh my God, it's so good. So there's they're in a little building right across from Unidad Park. So, which is a great park with a small playground that has a lot of Filipino history. Boba Guys is right next door at Ryback Ranch. But you go to Hi-Fi Kitchen, and what we like to do is take a picnic to Vista Hermosa Park right there. So it's like the ideal historic Filipino town day, I think. But I also must give a shout out.
Well, hold on. What do I order at the?
Oh my God, everything. I mean, it's like my kids. Here's like you can literally order, I think, everything at Hi-Fi Kitchen, and it's like just a great picnic meal. I'm serious. Just like whatever's on the menu.
The menu's that small.
Just one of everything. Yeah, it's like Filipino classics, but like with a LA twist is what, and they do a lot of like pop-ups with other places. And
I'm from the suburbs of Illinois.
Yeah.
What is a Filipino classic?
Well, but my kids, this is the most classic of the classic. And also like shout out to my neighbors who have like fed my children this since they were babies. Sweet spaghetti. Tell me you've had this.
Sweet spaghetti?
Sweet spaghetti.
I heard that at what's the McDonald's of?
Oh, Jollibee.
I heard at Jollibee they have that.
You can also go to Jollibee right on the red line, right next to the red line station at Beverly, Vermont. Yeah. And they have one downtown now, I think, too, if you want to go downtown.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's spaghetti that's sweet, and it has like chopped up sausages or hot dogs in it as the meat.
Doesn't sound healthy at all.
It's good carb loading.
You're trying so hard.
It's very good. It's my kids. My kids love to get it.
There's a Jollibee in Eagle Rock at the mall.
Oh, yeah, at the mall. That mall is really fun to go to, too. That's a big Filipino culture area.
Okay, so at Hi-Fi Cafe, I ordered the sweet spaghetti.
Sweet spaghetti.
Sweet Hi-Fi Kitchen. I'll try it.
Yeah, I think it's like...
Is it like Chef Boyardee sweet spaghetti?
I mean...
It's for kids, right?
Well, no, I think it's. It's like it's just a class. It's just a staple. Like it's just what you have. Like, and then what my
Manny Pacquiao is eating sweet spaghetti.
Yes, before every fight.
It's a secret.
And then our neighbors who are just all amazing and make the most amazing Filipino dishes. You have to get like flan. Like that's their bit. Like,
I love flan.
So there's all the different like versions of that. Like Justin has a few. Justin Fronda, who's my neighbor at Hi-Fi Kitchen, he carries some rotating flavors, but like the purple taro root, like that's the really good one.
Only flan I've had is at El Pollo Loco.
Oh, well.
Which, by the way, historic Filipino town has one of the prettiest El Pollo Locos.
It is very pretty. My kids really like that one, too. And then just one more shout out.
Does it taste different when it's purple? Is it
Purple
just
compared to what? Oh,
compared
like
to
yam, purple taro, purple.
well, the flan at El Pollo Loco is just
I've never had the flan
custard
there.
looking.
Oh yeah, well this is, I don't know, it's just like a twist
Okay,
using other. I mean, I guess it just tastes
I like purple.
whatever you make it out of, and then or you can also make it out of like cassava root. There's all these different like really good things to make it out of. And then the other just amazing Filipino cuisine stop you have to make in my neighborhood is going to Geneva, which is a bar which is owned by three Filipinas also on Beverly, but on the kind of the other side of the neighborhood on the western side. And they make cocktails, amazing cocktails, but they also have all these really interesting specials and special like kind of like curated menus that have Filipino ingredients. And calamansi, do you know what that is?
No.
Which is it's like a citrus. It's just a Filipino citrus. Like if you walk around in historic Village Town, you'll see it. These trees that have kind of like, they kind of look like oranges, but they're not. They're kind of like a kumquat orange. I don't know. Like how all citrus is kind of hybridized,
yeah.
But it's very like sour. It has this very distinctive taste. So they'll make drinks with that. For example, like I can't. They always are making such amazing drinks. I can't.
They pull them off of the trees on Beverly.
I mean, I don't know where they're sourcing.
I want to believe that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think a lot of their ingredients too. They just get like bitter melon. Like these are the things that you'll be like, wow, I've seen that before. That's like the really spiky, weird looking, looks like a little watermelon or a cucumber. But it's like, it has like such a distinctive taste, but go there and just have whatever they have on their special menu. They are the friendliest bar ever. And women bartenders and women run, and they source a lot of their spirits from, women spirit makers.
I have noticed Filipinos are the nicest people in the whole world.
That's true.
Is it true in your neighborhood?
Yes.
So your neighborhood might be the friendliest neighborhood in LA.
I think so.
And you've been around the block.
Well, I've only just a few blocks from the 101.
But you go everywhere. You go everywhere.
It's true. I mean, I will say it's just been, I know I'm a guest in a neighborhood that, as a white woman with my white family, it's been important for me to make sure that my kids are understanding what historic Filipino town means and what the neighborhood was and is going to be, and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support a lot of people who have lived in our neighborhood on our street for a very long time, and who are Filipino. And it's been a great joy to learn about this amazing culture and what a big deal, like in LA, to have this neighborhood created, this enclave named, which doesn't happen very often, that a new neighborhood gets made. It's only like 20 years old, right? So it's very interesting that they, you can actually like create a new neighborhood, but
kind of in the middle of the city. Yeah,
like right in the middle of the city. But it does say a lot about, sometimes you have to look for example, like SIPA, the nonprofit around the corner from where we live. They've been doing such amazing work in the neighborhood for so long, and keeping, a lot of the traditions and history alive. And we know that we have a role to play in that too. So we're proud to be there.
They're lucky to have you, Alissa Walker. People can hear you talk on LA Pod, which is a podcast about LA politics.
Yeah, LA Podcast. Yeah.
They can read your great work on Curbed. No longer Curbed LA.
Yeah. We're just part of the...
Just part of one of the biggest...
Just Curbed.
Where else can
all
they...
one big family.
I feel like you're everywhere.
That's all I do right now.
A Walker LA on Twitter?
Yes. A Walker in LA.
A Walker in LA on Twitter.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Is my pleasure.
How great was Alissa? You know who else we'd like to ride in the bike lane with? Our Patreons. When you stoke us, you're saying, Tony, Jordan, here's a monthly bus pass. Here's a new bicycle. Here's a new e-bike. What? Every donation you hand over helps keep this insane project rolling. So shout out to our Patreons. Nancy Rowman, Sean Atlow, Matt Mills, Sean Wallace, Greg and Molly, Jamie Taylor, Mark Johnson, Kira Ann, Barney Grinke, Ben Welsh, Henry Furman, Jen Adams, The Lonely Chair, Trevor Wilson, Bree Wild, and Dougie Gyro. Want to hear your name at the end of next week's show? Go to patreon.com/hereinla and give till it hurts. Also, shout out to our Angelinos. To be an Angelino, all you have to do is PayPal us $25 or more, and we will list you on the Here in LA website forever. You'll also get a number to denote how early you got in. Angelino number 1 is Allie Miller. 2, George Wright. 3, Rita Joanne. 4, Jason Sutter. 5, Grant Houghton. 6, Rob Baker. 7 is Kev Chang. 8 is Brenda Garcia. And 9 is John Griffiths. Just PayPal your hard-earned cash to busblog@gmail.com and know that you're doing something that's actually doing good for the world. You want to support us, but you got kids to raise. You can still help. Post your favorite episode on your Facebook. Oh my God, post 3. Tweet something nice about us out of the blue. Anytime you see me tweet, speaking about Twitter, and it's about an episode, retweet it. And for God's sake, tell your friends. Tell them how Here in LA is spelled, and that it's on Apple Podcasts and Google and even Spotify. Here in LA is produced by myself, Tony Pierce, and a man who needs to get into that subway and play his magic horn for all the kids, Jordan Katz. Editing, mixing, and music supervision by Jordan Katz. Songs by Orgone and Jordan Katz. Special thanks to Cindy for creating the logo, Jen for inspiring this, and all the moms out there leading by example for the next generation. Thank you.